When the program starts, you will be presented with the selection screen. The initial startup will take approximately 10 seconds, so be patient, it will get there. Before we start with doing a grid variance analysis on a suburb or town, I'm just going to explain the layout of the screen. The most important part is a section where we need to input the location we want to analyse. We need to select the green cell and enter the name of the location we want to analyse, and then select the state cell, which will display a small arrow, and when the arrow is clicked, a list of states will appear, and we need to select the correct state from the drop-down list. If you have entered a location and spelt it incorrectly, there will be an error displayed at the top of the screen, and no processing will take place until it is correct. All drop-down lists are coloured orange, and it is essential that a valid entry is selected from the list. Under no circumstances should the information be entered manually. The grey cells in this section will be automatically filled by the program with the postcode and the relevant council areas. If you happen to choose a location where the name of the suburb you have entered exists more than once in the state, you will be given the option of choosing the correct postcode. For example, Kingswood is a name that is used in 2 places within the state of New South Wales. One has a postcode of 2340 and another one with 2747. When this happens, the cell labelled postcode 1 will become a drop-down list that will allow you to select the postcode of the suburb you want to analyse. Locations with names like Back Creek in New South Wales exist in 6 locations, all with a different postcode. The next section is one that I have called the Target Area Selection option, and there are 5 options. Either option can be selected by clicking the appropriate radio button. The first option is to select a process that allows the selected suburb to be processed only, or the process can also extend to all intermediate or adjacent surroundings. If no is selected, only the selected location will be processed. If yes is selected, the chosen suburb will be analysed first, then all of the adjacent suburbs will be processed separately and one at a time. If I select by postcode as yes, then this is what will be analysed, and this may include suburbs not entered as the primary location. If I select walking distance as yes, then the cell immediately above the name of the target suburb or town will turn green and allow the import of a location from where you want the walking distance to be measured. It can be any location recognised by Google, for example, Eltham Railway Station or Monash University, or even a street address. It is also important to select the extent of the walking distance in metres in the green cell provided. Regardless of the distance entered, the selection will not extend beyond the selected suburb and those suburbs immediately adjacent. The next option is to select by school. When this is selected, it is also necessary to select the school in the drop-down list located in the cell next to the option to select yes. There are 2 aspects to this process that need to be considered. The schools available in the drop-down list will be those located in the suburb you have selected. There are situations where the selected suburb or town may not contain the name of the school you want to analyse. For example, the Applecross Senior High School is in Ardross, Western Australia, not in Applecross. So Ardross needs to be specified as the target suburb, not Applecross, or the name of the school will not be made available in the drop-down list. Secondly, choosing a school like Applecross Senior High School will cause numerous suburbs to be combined into the one analysis. In many cases, these suburbs will have completely different price ranges and characteristics. An analysis on this basis needs to be done with this in mind. In many cases, the results may be misleading. The next section is the property types options, and we need only select the property type from the drop-down list and whether we want to analyse residential or commercial properties. The final group of options is the miscellaneous section, and here we can elect to include previous sales either yes or no, And if we select yes, then we need to specify the number of days of previous sales to be included in the analysis. If we select auto, then the program will automatically add previous sales until 1% of the total number of dwellings in the suburb is reached. We can also analyse sales history, and when this is selected, the program will go back through the previous 1,000 sales and analyse prices year by year. This gives us an indication of annual price trends. In some cases, this will be up to 8 years of previous sales history. Do not select this option unless you specifically want to look at price movements over the previous 8 years. You may notice that some selections are not possible. For example, the program will not allow you to select Analyze Sales History as well as Yes for surrounding suburbs. There are a number of mutually exclusive selections and they can be found in the operating instructions. There are a number of other options. The GVA can also be done on rentals as well as sales, and it is possible to process a number of alerts, and this option is also used in conjunction with processing favourites. This will be explained in a later video. Once all of the selections are made, the next step is to process the selection. We do this by selecting the appropriate button in the next section, which I've highlighted. This section contains all of the buttons necessary to process and output the data. I'll discuss this section more in the videos to follow. The next session is also a series of buttons that will link us to websites that relate to the location we are. They are generally self-explanatory and may help in your analysis. At the top of the grey buttons is a very important button, and that is check for updates. If you experience any errors during processing, you should restart the program, and if you continue to experience the same errors, click this button. It may make changes to the installed version of the program, or it may advise there is an update available. If either of these options fails to fix the problem, it should be reported as per the installation instructions. The last two sections are where the results are displayed. At the top left of the screen is a breakdown of the number of properties at each price point, and at the bottom of the screen is the average low, mid and high price points with the percentage variations. And finally, there are messages displayed during processing that will let you know what the program is doing. The messages are displayed in what is called the Excel status bar and is at the bottom left of the screen. At the very bottom of the Excel screen is a list of worksheets available within this program. Like any Excel workbook, it is made up of a number of sheets or tabs, and it's time to move on to the next video for a brief rundown on how each of these can best be used.